Join me in welcoming Tonya Loving Collins. Hey Tonya, how you doing today?
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do in the world.
Well, I'm a life and business strategist, retired Army, and transitioning into this next season in my life. And my goal is just to help others to be the best versions of themselves, including couples and more specifically women in a transitional stage in their lives.
And you do marriage counseling with your husband, is that correct?
Well, we're actually I guess you could say marriage leaders, not necessarily counselors per se, not in that capacity, but more of fostering a group of like-minded individuals who want to be proactive in creating the marriage that they dream of. And with that, we go through different series of books and have discussions about the books and just help each other to grow and share in some of life's day-to-day challenges. As we know, marriage can be a challenge. I think two people living together can be a challenge, period, whether you're married or not. And just coming together to change the focus from just focusing on all of the negative day to day, which is easy to get into that mindset, and to focus more on the positive aspects of a relationship and expressing gratitude and things like that.
So the book is called My Marriage, My Destiny. Tell me a little bit about, how it was birthed for you, how it came out of you.
Well, this book for me kind of goes back a couple of years ago when I personally prayed for God to show me how to make a difference in the world. That's really where all of this came from. And the first thing that he showed me was a book. So honestly, I wasn't that person that always dreamed, yes, I'm going to be an author. I can't wait. And just dreaming about it for years and years and years and not ever doing anything about it. For me, it was a direct assignment. And so everyone asked me, why are you so pressed to do the book first? Because that was the first thing that I was given. And so I feel that there's a reason for everything. I, accept my direction from my authority. And that was the initial guidance that I was given. Now, my first question was, well, what am I going to write about? I mean, I had no clue. I had that unconscious competence that I know so many of us have, where you don't realize the gift that you are to others, that based on your experiences, and we all have, we're a gift in different aspects of our lives, but sometimes we don't realize it, but others outside of us may recognize it more easily than we do ourselves. And that was the case for me. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? And so initially I started out with a very broad topic, totally new on this writing journey. And it was broad, and I felt like I was making progress, not quickly enough, obviously. But then this past October, and that's when I reached out to you, this past October, I got clarity on what I needed to do this book
Mhm.
on. And that's when I got the direction that it needed to be on relationships. Because I mean, this pandemic has been truly a challenge for most, and a greater challenge for some than others, just where previously you may have been able to escape the relationship going to work, in basically just taking that out of body experience and putting it in your work environment or putting it in other activities, or whether it was with hanging out with your friends, where now you're forced to live and face one another every day for hours and upon hours on a given day. And so it's like you're forced to either address the situation that you may have been challenged with, or many unfortunately have chose to go in opposite directions. And it's just heart wrenching. for me, and I feel that this is part of my legacy. As I mentioned, with all of us having a gift, this is one thing that I do honestly feel that is an assignment. No, I have not had a perfect marriage myself, but when you are willing to work through it and just focus more on the positive things, focus more on the things when you first met one another, then you're able to make it work. If you can deal with those little annoyances that all of us have,
Mm.
excuse me, many of us think that our challenges are unique to us, but when you begin to conversate with others, other relationships, other individuals, other couples, then you easily recognize the similarities on this journey. You easily recognize the challenges on this journey. And while they may not be exactly the same, there are amazing similarities. And so, with that, we're able to build and strengthen one of each other up when one may be in a weaker moment in their relationships, the other may be strong, where one may have had certain challenges that another may be struggling with right now. Another may be able to say, hey, hang in there, don't give up. And that's the bottom line. It's all about commitment. At the end of the day, it's about commitment, because no, we don't always feel like it. We don't always feel like it. And I see the easy way out is just throwing your towel in. But unfortunately, if you have not had that positive reinforcement, that intervention from someone of a positive light, then you may think that that is the best solution, where you have no idea what the road ahead is, because now you've got to try to learn someone else all over again. And I can't even imagine what that may have been like. How do you date in a pandemic? I'm sure that had its challenges in itself too. And others, they didn't skip a beat. They just, pushed right along, mask on and mask out.
Mhm. So, the always unfair question, kind of like asking which is your favorite kid. What is your favorite part of the book?
That is a hard question, Steve, because each, I see each element as important and perhaps building upon each other. But if I had to choose a favorite chapter, I would probably go with the last chapter. And I don't want anyone to read ahead, but I would probably go with the last chapter, because it kind of like seals everything together and establishes a core. And so I would probably go with that. But each element, I think, is vital. Not that you will be able to integrate each element overnight. Anything that lasts takes time to build. But with that daily engagement, that daily commitment, you'll get there.
So, Destiny is an acronym. Um, and no, they have to read the book in order to be able to learn what each of those means. But can you tell us what each of those letters stands for?
Yes, I can. Destiny, the D is for dreaming, and that's just showing the importance of sharing dreams together, and not only sharing each other's dreams, but having your own, and how there's just so much progression that comes from dreaming. And that's where a lot of our fulfillment in life comes from, is just having that steady progress in our lives. The E is for empathy. And with empathy, empathy and communication goes hand in hand. And with that empathy, it helps you to be more compassionate, more understanding. It's basically placing yourself in that other person's shoes, rather than jumping on the defense and making assumptions, or uh, undermining another person's beliefs or feelings about a given situation, because obviously we don't all deal with everything the same way. But rather than doing that, saying, hey, I understand, I may not agree, and I don't have to agree, but just showing that compassion and understanding, maybe gently offering another way of thinking in the right time. That's the important thing. When it's a very sensitive time, then it's important to allow that person to just decompress, if you would, and get whatever. If they had a bad day at work, then allow them to just release, and knowing the difference when you're seeking advice versus just looking for a listening ear. And it's hard. I know a lot of people say women are hard to figure out. I don't think too many people will disagree with that. We're constantly evolving, and we want to constantly evolve, but it forces us to have to stay in communication with each other and make sure that we're staying in tune and growing together. um, the S is for self-awareness. If you don't know yourself, then it's really hard to pour yourself into anyone else, to give to anyone else. It starts with self-love, and when you don't have that, then it really spills over into every area of your life, whether it's at work or whether it's in your household. It all starts with yourself, understanding what makes you tick, understanding what makes you uh, the happy person that we all desire to be, and when you need to take a break, when do you need to take care of yourself, and just making time for yourself, and making sure that you have clearly established boundaries within your relationship and with yourself. The T is for thankfulness, or, I mentioned gratitude previously. I really cannot stress enough how important being thankful and gratitude. And it's the little things. I know for me personally, after I retired from the military, where I may have gotten some gratification from that, and just talking about how we go through different seasons in our lives. But then when I didn't work for a while, and, I'm working around the house, where previously that wasn't important to me, but I'm like, this is some hard work. And really, that's something that we don't give enough credit for. But you're looking for that. We all need it. We all need to feel appreciated by someone. And so why not get it from, at a minimum, your spouse? And it's just a custom courtesy to anyone. When someone does something for you, or when someone does something nice, and since children, we were taught to say thank you. And so that's just something that doesn't cost much at all, but it can really take you a long way in your relationship and in other areas of your life. The I is for integrity, and I don't think much needs to be said about the importance of integrity in your relationship. Bottom line, what's love without trust? You got to have it. You got to have it. And sometimes if you lose that trust in the relationship, then it's more difficult to rebuild. But if you really make a conscious effort to really show how learn your mate's apology language, for one, and then actually show and express that in their language and be sincere about it, then you can overcome even some of the most difficult situations. The N is for newness, and newness is just keeping things new and alive in your relationship, which becomes a greater challenge the longer you've been married. It's easy to get caught up doing things the same old way, and you think that it's okay. We expect, if no one else understands what we're dealing with, what we're going through, we expect our spouses to be able to do it, or our children, or the members of our household. They tend to get leftovers in the relationship, but they are a priority. And I like to think of it as what gets scheduled gets done. Sometimes it's difficult to make that time, but when you make a conscious effort of it, then you can do little things to keep things new, whether it's nothing more than going to a new restaurant, having that new experience, or going on a vacation or a staycation, depending on your budgetary constraints. So there are things that you can do to keep things new in the relationship. And the last letter is Y, of destiny. And the Y kind of like, it encompasses everything. When you are able to integrate all of those other factors in destiny, DESTIN, then the Y is for yearning. You it's kind of hard not to yearn for your mate when you have someone that is meeting all of those needs in your relationship, and you know, being a bag of positive energy. I hear a lot of guys say, oh, you're nagging me and things like that. And so when you're positive, and of course we all have days, that's not to say that you're going to be positive all the time. That would be inhumane once again, but you do have more positive energy than negative energy. Then we understand and we can support each other through, showing that empathy through our low points in life. And so just creating that atmosphere where you actually enjoy each other's company. At the end of the day, that's kind of what it sums up to.
Perfect. So if a person wants to go deeper with you, how can they get in contact with you?
You can reach me. I'm Tonya Loving Collins on Facebook and Instagram. And my website is crowningdestinies.com. That's CROWNING Destinies, DESTINIES.com.
Perfect. Well, the book is called My Marriage, My Destiny. You can get it on Amazon today. And Tonya, I really appreciate you spending some time here with us on the show today.
Thank you so much for your time, Steve.